Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good Tuesday afternoon. Let's get right into it. It is time for another edition of Front Office Tuesday. And we're not very happy with the front office overall right now because of the myriad of mistakes that have led to us being in our current situation. But for the purpose of this video, we will be trying to objectively analyze the decision making in the most recent offseason only, and the discussions of the overall front office over the last, 8 years. That's for other videos and other streams. So, let's dive right in as we always do, starting with our free agent re-signings. First, we have Chris Carson, who did not play against the Rams, and therefore his stats have not changed. So, we need to kind of have a renewed conversation here, because of some information we got last week, where apparently Chris Carson has a chronic neck condition or spine condition that is never going to go away, but will not affect his play outside of a few random flare-ups every now and then. So it's a very awkward situation for an NFL player to be in, and it has to at least make us wonder if re-signing Carson to not a long-term deal, but a multi-year deal was wise. My position on this is the contract that we signed him to was cheap enough to where even if you're only getting maybe 14 games from Carson, as long as they're a decent 14 games, it's fine if you look at what running backs are getting paid right now. But the way the condition is described to me makes me wonder if this is going to start getting worse. Like, what if Carson going forward plays a few games a year? What if he plays a few games and then something happens and he just has to go on IR for the rest of the season? So even the Chris Carson signing, which looked like money at the bank at the time, we have to wonder about it now. And I'll say it again, I don't need Chris Carson to be a top 10 running back to justify that contract. It was a very reasonable deal. But I do need him to play, and at least most of the time play effectively. So, to be determined. Now, the good news is we did at least kind of make up for that by signing Alex Collins to that minimum contract. He had a decent game against the Rams, and for his roughly veteran minimum contract, he's given us good production so far this year. 32 touches, 183 yards, and a touchdown. PFF grade is pretty good, 65. Now he's up to 88 snaps. That number will probably continue to go up because he's played well so far. So at least we did a good job there. Ethan Posick did not play against the Rams, so nothing different here. Apparently he's healthy, but I don't think he's going to get back on the field immediately. So everybody just stay in a holding pattern around the Ethan Posick stuff. Poona Ford played a good game against the Rams, to my estimation. He played, I think, 45 snaps. We went over that yesterday, had 2 tackles. And I saw him get a handful of QB pressures, which is something I'll revisit on Friday. But I think Poona played well, and PFF thought he played well. His grade is all the way up to 74.5. Now, put the Poona thing on the back burner for a second here. We're going to revisit that in a minute here. But by my estimation, Poona Ford did play very well and has been fine this season. There have been moments where I feel like he's less effective than before, but I'll get into why that might be a little later. Carlos Dunlap, he didn't play a lot. I think he had 2 tackles and a PD, a pass deflection. PFF continues to think he's playing effectively, but if you take a look at how many snaps he's currently playing per game on average through 5 games, we're just not getting big bang for our buck right now. The efficiency is there. I'm not saying the snaps that he's out there aren't effective, but we are not seeing the volume that we need. And part of the reason for that might be he's dropping back into coverage too much, which I continue to see against the Rams, and I continue to not like it. So something's got to give there. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with Dunlap, but I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's playing bad, but he's not putting up the volume that we need. Benson Mayowa returned from injury against the Rams, and he did play not a whole lot, but he did play. He had a couple tackles, and PFF still thinks he's having a pretty decent season so far, 66.3. I'm less concerned about Mayoa because he's making less money, but he's not really providing a whole lot of bang for that buck either, if we're being straight honest. So something's definitely got to give there. And this pass rush right now, it's not even close to what I was expecting. I know these guys were not playing at 100%, but who is playing at 100% really? Okay, let's bump on over to the free agent signings slash trades. Gerald Everett did not play. Gabe Jackson did. He played every snap, and he, by my estimation, played fine. PFF thought he had a good game. His grade went up several points, and he's now getting up to the point where you can start to say that he's playing solid football. 65.5 is a good grade if you buy into PFF, which I do to an extent. Then I think that Gabe Jackson is is coming along as the weeks go by, and we can at least say that he's doing well. So, yeah, I'll give credit where credit is due. That seems like it was a reasonable trade. I don't know if it'll end up helping us, but reasonable trade. Okay, so now we get to Al Woods, and this is where I want to try to figure out this puzzle here because I'm a little confused. So Al Woods played a good game against the Rams. He had like 43 snaps. I think he had a tackle. I think he had a tackle for loss, actually. And I think he had at least one QB pressure. We'll find out more about that on Friday. PFF thought he had an incredible game and boosted his grade all the way up to 86.1, which, going by PFF's grading system, would make him one of the better defensive tackles in the league. I'm not saying that he is, but PFF is seeing something with him that they really, really like. So, we've got Al Woods, who has, as near as I can tell, exceeded my expectations to the nth degree so far through 5 games. And according to everybody that I can find with a respectable take, is playing really well. And then you have Poona Ford, who he's had moments where I felt like he wasn't nearly as effective because he's playing 3-tech. But he's still playing well, and we know he's a good player. He's been here for a while. We know he can play. We know he's good. So, if those are your 2 starting defensive tackles, and you've also got Bobby Wagner, middle linebacker extraordinaire, Hall of Fame on roller skates, and you've got Jordan Brooks, first round pick, who was brought in specifically to stop the run, and I don't necessarily think Bobby Wagner is playing poorly right now either, and now Jordan Brooks maybe, but why can't we stop the run? How can both of your starting defensive tackles be playing at a high level when both of them are basically 1-techs and you can't stop the run? So, we talk all the time about how these defensive coaches are not putting these players in the right places to succeed. This is kind of another level. This is like you have players succeeding, but it's not resulting in team success. And I don't understand it. I don't know how that's possible. How can Al Woods be playing at such a high level? How can Poona Ford be playing at a good level? And you still have the worst run defense you've ever had since Carroll got here, probably. It don't make no sense to me. Somebody help me figure this out. Somebody help me understand this. Okay, Kerry Hyder played his normal number of snaps and had a couple tackles. I think he had a QB pressure or 2 as well. We'll revisit that later, but I think he played okay. PFF grade dropped a little bit down to 65.3, still respectable. I actually think Kerry Hyder is one of the guys on this defense who is holding his own. Blessuan Austin didn't really play. Sidney Jones did and had 6 tackles. That's about it, and had another bad game according to PFF. Better than last week, though, oddly enough. Okay. Moving on from that, because that's just ugly and I don't really want to spend too much time on it. No rookies played. I don't think any rookies played because Forsyth and Curhan were both inactive. So, not a whole lot going on from the draft picks and UDFAs right now. Surprise, surprise. Now let's take a look at the free agent departures of the recent offseason. So we're going to start with Shaq Griffin, and he played every snap for the Jaguars against the Titans, as he always does. He had a few tackles. He had a PD to bring his total up to 4 pass deflections. I think he allowed 2 receptions. So he played fine. Pretty anonymous, unremarkable, but fine. PFF grade is 63.5, which is fine. uh, as the weeks go by, I get more and more comments alluding to, well, we should have kept Shaq Griffin, but I'm sorry, I don't see anything here that tells me he's worth, what was it, $15 million a year. I don't. Now, I would normally say that on this team he would be playing better because we have a better pass rush, but I don't know if we do, so I'm not even going to say that. But here's a guy who is actually playing bad, Jaron Reid, who has seen his snap counts go down on the Chiefs' defense, despite the Chiefs' defense being atrocious. Like, they might be worse than us. They might be worse than us. It's possible. It's on the table. And he did not record any stats in that Sunday night game against the Bills, by the way. No stats. No tackles, no pressures, no QB hits, nothing. PFF grade down to 49 flat. So I guess we were right about Jaron Reid. And whatever you can say about how bad this defense is, I think we can safely say that Jaron Reid being here would not help them, based off what he's doing in KC. KJ Wright played like 30-something snaps for the Raiders against the Bears, had 3 tackles, and that's about it. PFF continues to think he's playing fine, 65.5 grade. I'm definitely seeing the sentiment from the fan base right now that we should have kept KJ. I really don't see how KJ would be helping this defense right now. I mean, if we would play KJ Wright the same way we're trying to play Jordan Brooks right now, KJ would be getting roasted by receivers the same way Brooks is. Like, KJ Wright is significantly slower than Brooks. Now, if we were going to use KJ Wright differently from the way we're trying to use Jordan Brooks, then maybe, but I don't think one player is going to dig us out of this hole. But he is playing okay in Las Vegas. Not playing a lot, but playing fine. And Carlos Hyde actually played a little bit for the Jaguars. He had like 5 carries for 13 yards. PFF thinks he's playing efficiently in his 80 snaps, but not really leaving a huge impression on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that'll do it for this edition of Front Office Analysis. So, these free agent re-signings, which started the season looking good, it's starting to fade quickly. Like, now Carson's a question mark. And the players here who are good, like Poona Ford, I know Poona's playing well. We're not seeing any returns out of it. Like, Poona Ford's playing good football, and we don't stop the run. Al Woods is playing elite football, according to everything I can see, and it's not resulting in stopping the run. So what good is it? What value does it provide? So I don't know. I'm confused. I don't understand how some of these things are even possible. But it's okay for me to not understand it. I'm just some guy on my computer. The fact that Pete Carroll, who is paid $12 million a year to understand this, doesn't understand it, that's a real problem. So, I don't know. The shine is coming off the apple here a little bit, but there's some stuff here that is still good. All in all, it's not good enough. It's not good enough, and that's why changes need to be made. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Stream later. Special surprise tonight, by the way. Keep an eye out for it. You'll know it when you see it.